Hi, my name is Heather Peabody. I am an occupational therapist from Nashua, New Hampshire. My company is Vital Spark LLC, and my website is thedementiaspecialist.com. This is episode 2 of Caregiver Aspects, Expectations. We were talking about Risberg, Ferris, and Crook had observed that clients with dementia who have a progressive type of dementia lose their skills in the reverse order that they developed them as children. And these milestones fall under a scale called the Global Deterioration Scale. The first 3 stages of global deterioration are not dementia. The first stage, 1, is normal, 2 is very mild cognitive impairment, and 3 is mild cognitive impairment. These stages can be compared to developmental ages for clients, and not to say that your client is getting younger or becoming a child, but to understand the level of maturity of how your client processes information. We should never treat our clients like second-class citizens. You should use this model only to understand your level of cueing to give the client to help perform within their level of capability. So 1, normal. There is no subjective impairment. The client can do anything, work, hold a job, drive. We're not seeing any issues. 2, very mild cognitive impairment is sometimes diagnosed as age-associated memory loss. If the client does not have a higher education, they may not be able to get the scores for the concentration axis of Risberg's tests and get the normal score. So it's controversial to give the client a diagnosis of age-associated memory loss. Typically, a client will get an age-associated memory loss diagnosis if we know that they've had a higher education, like very smart doctor, lawyer, scientist, and they're having difficulty with those higher math questions, and we may say that it's age-associated memory loss, especially if the client is articulating that I'm not myself, I'm having trouble concentrating, I'm having trouble with word finding. Level 3 is mild cognitive impairment, which may also be called cognitive impairment not otherwise specified. So let's talk about some clinical characteristics of GDS scores 1 or 2. So if the client has a very mild cognitive impairment, they may have a very subjective impairment, forgetting where they placed familiar objects or forgetting names of people they formerly knew well. Now, we too do this with a normal brain. Your brain is plastic, it's always changing, and you can imagine your functional cognizance as an accordion. Sometimes you have room for lots and lots of processing, sometimes very little. So at any given time you may be capable of more or less. Same with our clients that have dementia, but the key is when a client is presented with a cognitive test to challenge their level of capabilities when asked to perform at this higher level of capability. If the client has a limited plasticity and we test them, they may not be able to be capable of the same things that we are. Because of our plasticity, we may be capable of more. So with age-associated memory loss, the client may forget names of people that they formerly knew well, and this is happening on a regular basis, and they're forgetting where they place familiar objects on a regular basis. We misplace familiar objects all the time. The most commonly misplaced item is perhaps a pen or a pencil, something not of very much value, but you notice that you put it somewhere and it's gone. Or you bump into someone at the supermarket that you knew from high school and you just lost their name and you're like, hey, you, how are you? And it just doesn't come to you until maybe the next day or later that day or after you've had a good night sleep. Mild cognitive impairment, we see that perhaps you have misplaced an object of value, of not knowing where you put your keys, your glasses, your wallet and pocketbook, maybe not remembering where you parked your car. Concentration deficits do begin to manifest. Perhaps you're reading a passage from a book, you forget what you read, you go back and read it again. Now this is not dementia. This is mild cognitive impairment or cognitive impairment not otherwise specified. People can live in the community, hold jobs, drive a car, at this level of cognizance be babysitters, and many are managers, so I wouldn't be very concerned about being at this level. We do see some word finding difficulties at mild cognitive impairment. This is called anomia, just that word that's at the tip of your tongue and it can't come. Denial does begin to manifest at this stage. Perhaps your coworkers notice a relatively poor job performance if you're at this level, and they give you helpful comments like, "You look tired." And with the denial, maybe you say, "No, I'm fine. I just need coffee." And you could hide it. You could fake it till you make it and get up to this 1 or 2. We've all been there. I know I've watched TV and forgot what I was watching during the commercial break, and right. It was SpongeBob. But someone who has mild cognitive impairment, and this is their baseline, they would not be able to earn any scores that you typically see with the concentration level of someone who has very mild cognitive impairment or normal. At these 3 stages, we talk about some typical memory strategies to help you function in day-to-day life, using a planner, write things down. I travel a lot, so I'm always driving different rental cars. I forget what I'm driving, so oftentimes I'll take a picture of my car. I got an iPhone, and I set a lot of reminders, when do I take my vitamins or my medication, appointments that I need to go to, when my kids are having concerts that they go to, the names of my children, because I have 4, and oftentimes mix them up. So, memory strategies, digital voice recorder, and, habits really going to help you from misplacing objects. Hang your keys up in the same space all the time, something that you use frequently, leave it out in line of sight. If you can't find something, you probably need to clean and create a new system for organization. Look at your car, look at your house. They're usually representative of your state of mind. If the car's cluttered, your brain's cluttered. If the house is cluttered, your brain's cluttered. So, food for thought. And we'll go look at episode 3, expectations for early stage dementia. Oh, one more thing. If you're trying to improve cognizance at one of these 3 stages, some of the things you could do is make sure you get enough sleep, make sure you're eating nutritious foods, exercise, and drink plenty of water. I know my biggest problem now is vitamin D and making sure that my thyroid looks good. Those can absolutely affect my function and sleep. Those are really some of the greatest things that you could help with your brain. And breathe. The basics.